Hello, Let's Do Video viewers. Welcome back and welcome to the boardroom. Long time friend, Jordan Owens. Great to have you here. Can you please introduce yourself? Everyone knows you, but just in case.
No, for sure, Dave. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you, and look forward to the conversation. So I'm Jordan Owens. I'm the CTO of the Americas for Pexip. Pexip, for those of you who aren't familiar with Pexip, we're a video conferencing company focused on really allowing anything to talk to anything. And I know we're going to get into that today. So look forward to the conversation, Dave.
Yeah, quick story. I'm going to surprise you with this. I've known you so long. The company before Pexip that you were working at, I met you at a trade show and you were so new, you had to take someone else's business card and write your name on it because you had just gotten hired. And I thought that was so awesome. I say it's around. I have it. It's here. I've had that forever. But
Oh,
yes,
that's fantastic.
I've been following you for a while, and Pexip I'm so glad to have you here because it's a very interesting company, a very unique role in our industry. And I don't think a lot of people understand or know about it because you're not ChatGPT and you're not selling video bars. So who cares, right? But
Yeah.
it's really important. And one thing that's particularly important that you guys handle, that we're going to talk about today is Interop. So let's get into, I'm going to roll our little graphic here. What can you tell us today about what Pexip is doing with Interop?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, Dave. And to start with, this conversation around interop is often labeled as a very technical conversation. And interop itself is a very technical word. And as a result of it being so technical, I think a lot of people shy away from it, right? They don't want to complicate their lives around interop. But the reality is that interop isn't a technical thing. It's actually a user thing. The whole idea around people joining into meetings needs to be simple, needs to be straightforward, needs to allow the users to focus on the meeting and not focus on the technical complexity of what happens behind the scenes. When I walk into a meeting room, and I'm technical, but when I walk into a meeting room, I just want to press a button, dial into the meeting. If the meeting's hosted in Zoom or it's hosted in Teams or it's hosted in Webex or GoToMeeting or any one of a number of different meeting platforms out there, I don't care. I don't care what my device is. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to press that button, dial into the meeting, connect to the meeting, be able to collaborate within that meeting, and then get out of the meeting and move on with my day. Interop is what makes that happen. Interop is this concept of absolving the technical complexity that allows any room to dial into any meeting, regardless of anything that happens in between. And I think it's an important topic. It's an important conversation because as we've all returned to the office and as we've all tried to work in new and different ways, we're still faced with this technical complexity that we just need to get rid of and we need to make easier. And that's, to me at least, that's the key.
Yeah. It's so crucial, and it's one of the struggles as Let's Do Video. My business is Let's Do Video. I've been frustrated with forever because with audio, we take it for granted. When I call you,
Right.
I don't care if you're on Sprint or Verizon or Bell or whatever. They all just talk to each other, and video is not like that. And just to be clear to our viewers, because it used to all be all about meeting room video, but since the pandemic, we're all at home on our battle stations. I want to be clear, we're not talking about our home battle stations because interop really isn't an issue. If you send me a Zoom link or a Teams link or even a Pexip link, it doesn't matter what I'm on. I click the link and I'm there. So
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of you on desktop might be thinking, I don't care about interop. I just use whatever. But the problem is in meeting rooms like this, and everyone thinks I'm joking when well, insiders like know that I'm not joking, but people think I'm joking when I say this. I have integrators that come to me and they say, I just outfitted 100 rooms and I had to put 2 video bars in each of them. One of them does Zoom and the other one does Webex or Teams or whatever. And I'm not okay with that. And what makes me crazy is there's a better answer. You guys can handle that.
Well, 100%. And take it a step further, the users aren't okay with that either, right? Because when they walk into the room, it all works great if the right bar happens to be chosen for the right meeting at the right time. But what happens if I'm booking a room last minute or if I'm squatting in a room that hasn't been reserved and it isn't set up to be on the right bar and I still need to dial into this meeting and well, now I want to share content. What cable do I use on the table? And it's too hard. It's too complex, and we need to make it much easier. And that ease of use that will drive up utilization. That ease of use will drive up satisfaction. And that's really what we're all after today, right? We need to make this whole thing much easier and just make it work. That's the key. Stuff needs to work with stuff.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's another frustration with video. You give someone a phone number, they dial it. You tell them to call you on video, and even today they're still like, I don't know how to touch this thing. And we've gotten to the video bar manufacturer's done a great job. You put a video bar in the room and you walk in, it says click here to start your meeting. Okay, people aren't afraid of that. But if there's two video bars, all that goes away. All that great progress we made, we're back to people saying, I'm afraid to touch this stuff. Let's just use audio. So that's kind of how we're dealing with the present. Dealing with Interop in the present is you guys are able to somehow make a Zoom video bar connect to a Teams meeting and vice versa. What are we looking into the future of interoperability?
Well, that's just it, right? So if you look historically around interoperability, it's always been about this conversation of standard systems and standards-based video conferencing systems, and how do we develop the standards to be able to do that? As we look to the future of video conferencing rooms, people are buying much more purpose-built video conferencing systems that sit inside their room. If I'm a big Microsoft house, I'm going to buy and invest in Microsoft Teams rooms. Why? Because I get a much more rich, much more conducive user experience for my Microsoft Teams environment. Similarly, if I'm all in on Zoom, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of Zoom rooms for my rooms. Why? Because it's a much more feature-rich, much more capable system when I'm dialing into my own internal meetings. And the reality is that's probably my 60, 70, 80% use case. The future of interoperability is really not about that anymore, right? So if you look at the world through that lens, that problem has been solved. We aren't worried about this conversation around, I need to dial into my own internal meetings. What we're worried about is, how do I dial into meetings that I've been invited to? So in this call, we're using a very specific meeting platform. Well, what happens if I had a different meeting room or a different room bar that needed to dial into this meeting? How do I get into that meeting? How do I, when I'm invited by my customers or my suppliers or my partners or whomever that I don't control, that I don't manage, how do I use my estate to be able to dial into that? That's the future of Interop, right? Zoom rooms dialing into Teams meetings, Teams rooms dialing into Webex meetings, and so on and so forth. How do we just enable that to happen and enable it to work in a very seamless fashion?
That's really crucial because video is so much more than audio. It's audio is just about connecting and basic interop. Okay, if we can get them to hear and see each other, that's one thing. But like you said, these are purpose-built things. It's not just a camera and a microphone. The power is in Teams itself. The power is in Zoom itself.
Correct.
The features they have now, the AI and the whiteboards and all the various things. You want to experience as much of it as you can. So we don't want just, okay, you're connected. We want someone like Pexip really saying, okay, you are a full participant in this Teams meeting, Zoom meeting, whatever it is, regardless of what you connect to. That's the future. I think people just have given up on this. I mean, this is real. You guys actually do this. This isn't theoretical.
Correct. It's in market right now. It is there today. It is something that you can take advantage of as we speak. And are we done? Absolutely not. There's still 1,000 more things that we want to do. But if you've bought a Zoom room, if you've bought a Teams room, if you've bought a RingCentral room, if you've bought a Cisco room, if you've bought an HP Poly room, we can enable that room to dial into any meeting, regardless of where that meeting is hosted, and without compromising access to the feature set that you expect to have. That is an incredibly powerful statement. This idea of any room to any meeting is our vision, but we are achieving that vision today. And like I said, that's an incredibly powerful statement. And it's one that I'm proud to say that we deliver on right now.
It's funny, you're listing all those companies. I'm like, it's a really good time to be a consumer in this industry because that many companies means competition. That's why all the products are so good, but they're not any good at all if we can't talk to each other on them. So
Right.
I think we have to understand Pexip being the glue between. We have a few
Yeah,
more
exactly.
graphics to talk through. Can you share what we're looking at here?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this specific view, what we're looking at here is a Zoom room. This is a standard Zoom room. It can be running on any of the hardware manufacturers that Zoom works with. It's supported on all of the Zoom Room devices as of a release that came out in May of this year. And the whole idea here is, how do we provide a much better interoperable experience for Zoom Rooms to dial into Microsoft Teams meetings? So this is enabled in the Zoom tenant. You go into your Zoom tenant, you say, I want to use Pexip interoperability for this meeting. You click save. And all of a sudden, all future Microsoft Teams meetings that you're invited to, whether they're within your own company or you were invited by an external third-party company, will now use Pexip Interoperability to download that meeting. The really big benefit here, users have to do nothing. They walk in, they press the blue button to dial into the meeting, they get connected into the meeting. If they have a single screen system, they see video and content on that single screen. If they have a dual screen system, they see people spread across both screens. When no content's being shared, they have people on one screen, content on the other when content is being shared, and it is a seamless, transparent experience. They can both send and receive content. All of the features that you would expect to be there are there, and they just work out of the box. A really elegant solution for sure.
Nice. There's two things I mean, a lot of good stuff you just said there, but two things that really jump out at me. I gotta remember two things at once. I'm too old for this. But one of them is the fact that it's a full featured experience. It's not a, if you're really in the meeting and get all this stuff, and if you join via this, you get some of the stuff. Obviously that's so powerful. But what I really, really love is I was a little bit afraid that you were going to say, okay, so the way it works is you start the Zoom meeting and then you switch over to the Pexip app. And you got to log into the Pexip app and do this and that. And it's a great Pexip app. It's nice and clean and shiny and it's easy to use. And then you switch back to the Zoom app and do your meeting. I mean, how else could it possibly work? But no, you got it in the Zoom app itself. Okay. So the users don't even know it's there.
Exactly. That's the intent.
Awesome. Let's go on to our next graphic here. We're just seeing a different side of the same equation.
Same equation. So this is a Microsoft Teams room dialed into a Webex meeting. In this case, you invite the Microsoft Teams room into the Webex meeting. You walk into the Teams room. There's that big purple button that you say join. It dials into the Webex meeting, and you now, again, get that fully featured experience completely baked into the endpoint. No user has to know what's going on behind the scenes. The call automatically routes through Pexip. Call connects, you get full access to the feature set, whether it's voice, video, bidirectional content, what have you. Same benefit on both single and dual screens that we talked about in the Zoom case. It just is centered around a Microsoft Teams room experience. So again, all about that same capability. How do we remove complexity? How do we increase access for users when they walk into a room? And yet, how do we protect the estate that they want to protect so that when I'm in my 70% use case, 80% use case, whatever, I get to have that rich Microsoft Teams room experience into Microsoft Teams meetings. So that's really what we're all about. And that's what we're trying to protect in this case as well.
Yes. And I understand that the gear we're looking at here is just, for example, works with anything. But I just want to mention that that's a Poly, and Poly is our friends, and we like them very much. Absolutely. So hello to our friends at Poly, and nice to see you up on the screen there. And here we have some more examples of different gears and experiences that were.
Yeah, the whole conversation here is how do we just give you, the organization, you, the customer, the ability to choose the right device for the right room. So you don't have to think twice about how do I dial into this meeting or that meeting. You get to choose the device that makes the most sense. You get to then double down on those devices throughout your conference rooms, but you don't have to compromise access to meetings. You don't have to compromise access to features. Away you go, and away it works. And so that's really the driver for us. And that's where we wake up and we go to sleep every day thinking about that exact thing. And how do we continue to make this more feature rich, more accessible, and more seamless for the end user?
Excellent. It's interesting. This is such a unique offering. And this isn't the only thing Pexip does. You have other things, and they're similarly very unique. It's like your competition isn't other companies that do interop in different ways. Your competition is people saying, oh, I'd just rather be miserable. I'd rather be miserable than use Pexip. I mean, is it, we just have to get the word out here, because I'm really thinking people are, it's not just, oh, it could be better. I think they're unhappy. I don't like that.
Well, and the cool thing about our world right now is we work hand in hand with all the major manufacturers, right? Whether you're a heavy Microsoft shop, Zoom shop, Google shop, Avaya shop, RingCentral shop, Cisco shop, I'm sure HP Poly shop, a Neat shop, Crestron shop, all of the manufacturers out there, Logi shop. I don't want to try not to leave anybody out. I'm sure I am, and I apologize. That's not the intent. But no matter who you want to double down and work with, we want to help make that product, make that solution better. And we do it in a friendly way, right? We're not in here to try to take over the entire meeting experience. We're not in here to try to usurp any of those manufacturers and what they're trying to provide. We're in here to try to make it all better. And that's exactly what we do every day. So to your point, how do we remove the pain and the frustration around joining into meetings? That's what we're here to do.
Awesome. Well, I'll put some links below regarding Pexip Interop, and hopefully we have you back to talk about some of the other very cool and interesting and things people need to know. Any final thoughts for our viewers today?
No, just that, again, any questions, anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to anybody at Pexip or even me directly. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, although I don't tend to tweet a whole lot. But certainly always accessible, always happy to chat. And again, just to be candid, we do it in a very agnostic way. So if you want to bounce questions off of me that have nothing to do with Pexip, I'm all in and always happy to chat. To your point, Dave, I've been around the block a time or two, and I have the gray hairs to show for it. So always look forward to hearing what's going on out there and look forward to connecting soon.
Yeah, if you just want to chat about the industry in general, Jordan, I don't want to overflow your inbox. People just want to talk your ear off. But Jordan's always good to talk to. All right. Thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks so much, Dave. Take care.